Welcome to our recap show. This deep dive, it's all about the Elite Rock Southeast Qualifier softball tournament that recently went down in Viera, Florida.
Right.
We've got a ton of source material here, a really detailed review, packed with stats, player highlights, the whole story.
Yeah.
And our mission today is basically to unpack all of that, pull out the key stuff, and really understand what happened during what sounds like an absolutely brutal weekend of Fastpitch.
Yeah. Brutal's a good word. You really can't talk about this tournament without starting with the conditions, right?
Yeah.
The source material just hammers this home. The Space Coast complex, it was like a furnace.
Yeah.
Seriously. On-field temps were soaring. Humidity was just thick. The review actually describes it as feeling like the diamonds could melt.
Wow. Just picturing that heat makes me sweat. Oh. And honestly, the fact that only one single game didn't finish out of the whole weekend.
I know.
That's genuinely astounding. It says so much about the grit, the determination of everyone involved just to tough it out.
Absolutely. And you got to give immense credit to the athletes, obviously, and the coaches pushing them.
For sure.
But the real unsung heroes highlighted in the source, definitely the umpires.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Think about it. Working hours on end in that kind of baking sun, making critical calls while maybe, hallucinating from heat stroke. Their endurance is truly remarkable.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And credit where it's due to Tonya Waters and her staff, too.
Right.
I mean, running a tournament is a massive job anyway, but keeping it as tightly organized and, on schedule, as this one sounds like it was, despite Mother Nature trying her best.
Yeah, doing her best to shut it down. It takes some serious skill, real adaptability.
Totally.
And what's fascinating is how the heat wasn't just physically tough. It became part of the strategy,
How so?
Well, teams with depth, teams that conditioned well, teams that could manage their energy and, hydration, they probably had an edge beyond just raw talent.
Makes sense. Okay, so let's unpack how that all played out in the field. Let's start with the 14U bracket. The final here was kind of unique and all EC Bullets showdown. The Bullets battle, they called it.
Right, yeah. Between sister squads Jackson Travis 14U and Jackson Bobby 14U.
A real family affair for the championship.
Exactly. And it was EC Bullets Jackson Travis, who ended up being dominant, took the title with an 8-2 win.
Yeah, they were clearly on a mission all weekend. The source points out their perfect 7-0 record, outscoring opponents 52-14. That's wow.
Yeah, and it wasn't just power, right? It was like a blend of aggressive offense and really solid pitching. Opponents just struggled.
So looking at that final game specifically, what stood out?
Well, the source points to Avalo Fitzgerald setting the tone early for Jackson Travis. From the circle.
Okay.
She worked 4 incredibly efficient innings, gave up only 2 hits, just 1 earned run, and struck out 3.
That kind of start lets your offense relax a bit, doesn't it?
Totally. Lets them do their job. And the offense. They definitely answered the call.
Who were the key players there?
Natalie Singletary was described as a menace at the plate. She went 2 for 2, had a double, 2 RBIs, just putting the ball in play, driving runs in.
Right.
And Willa Pignutti was great at just making things happen. Drew a walk, got a hit, scored twice. Always a threat on the bases.
Okay.
But the hit that really sealed it, the dagger, as the source puts it.
Yeah.
That came from Lindsay Hamilton. She was also perfect, 2 for 2, and smashed a triple that brought in 3 RBIs.
Wow, that's clutch in a championship game.
Definitely. Now, EC Bullets Jackson Bobby, their journey to that final was arguably more dramatic.
Oh, yeah. How so?
They finished the weekend 4-4 overall, so, a bit of a roller coaster.
Right.
But the source makes it clear they absolutely caught fire in bracket play.
So they had to grind it out more.
Yeah, exactly. Their wins on Monday just to get to the final 6-2 over Ohana, then a tough 7-4 battle against Tampa Mustangs Bedenbaugh. That shows some serious perseverance. They really battled through adversity after maybe a slower start. They earned that shot.
Seeing 2 teams from the same program face off like that.
Yeah.
What does that tell you about the organization itself?
It says a lot about their depth, right? And the coaching within EC Bullets at that level, they're developing multiple competitive teams.
Yeah. And what about Jackson Bobby's run? Coming back after some struggles.
Well, it's just a powerful reminder, isn't it, that how you respond to early losses in a tournament can define your outcome just as much as how you start.
Right. Finding that peak performance when it matters most in bracket play.
Exactly. It's about finding it late. Okay, so moving on to the 16U bracket.
Yeah, let's do it.
This one ended on a different note. Mother Nature kind of had the final say here.
Ah, right. No single champion was crowned. The final between Miami Stingrays 16U and Hustle 16U got stopped by weather.
Yeah, in the second inning, so they were named co-champions.
Okay. How did the Stingrays look getting there?
The Miami Stingrays 16U, they proved they're a premier program, finished 6-1 leading up to that final.
Pretty solid.
But the source highlights something interesting. Their path wasn't exactly easy. All 3 of their wins in bracket play were decided by 2 runs or less.
Oh, wow. So they were in some tight games.
Yeah, real dogfights. They had to make clutch plays, execute under pressure again and again to get there.
Who stood out for them?
In their semifinal, Kaylee Dyer and Sean Fernandez were key. Both went 2 for 3. Dyer hit a triple, Fernandez a double.
Nice production.
And they tag-teamed pitching duties, too. Showed that versatility that the source mentions was so crucial in those conditions.
Makes sense. Okay, so what about the other co-champ, Hustle 16U?
Hustle 16U. Well, their name couldn't have been more fitting, honestly.
Yeah.
They finished 5-3 overall, which, might not jump off the page, but their bracket run, it was just phenomenal.
Sounds like something straight out of a movie montage.
It really does. Okay, get this. They came in as the number 9 seed.
Okay, definite underdogs.
Right. Long odds. And they proceeded to knock off the 8 seed, then the 1 seed, then the 4 seed, and the 2 seed. Back to back to back to back.
Whoa, seriously?
Yep, just mowing down the top teams to reach the final. Their semifinal win against Rock Gabriel was a decisive 8-3 victory.
That's incredible. Who powered that win?
Dylan Hetrick led the offense in that game, went 2 for 3. And Chloe McGowan had a massive contribution, 3 RBIs on just a single hit. Super clutch.
Wow. That kind of run, taking out higher seeds like that, that's just awesome in tournament play.
It really is. And the source mentions, when the final was called because of the weather, there wasn't any, complaining or drama between the teams.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, just mutual respect and, probably a bit of relief after such a grueling weekend in that heat.
So I guess, what does a weather-shortened final tell us about the realities of tournament ball sometimes?
Well, it highlights that unpredictability, right? Mother Nature can just step in and force results outside of pure competition.
True. And how do we even process a run like Hustle's? From the 9 seed, taking out all those top teams.
It's just a great case study in momentum and belief, Once a lower seed starts winning, especially against top teams, that confidence can be a huge factor.
Yeah.
Approved seedings are just, a starting point. Anything can happen.
Absolutely. All right, let's shift gears then to the 18U division. This bracket felt like it had one team really making a statement.
Oh, yeah. The Miami Stingrays 16U GATOR squad.
Hang up, right. And dominating.
Totally. They basically used the 18U bracket as their personal showcase, went an absolutely flawless 8-0 on the weekend.
8-0, wow.
And capped it off with a dominant 9-1 win over Rock 18U in the championship game.
Undefeated, and wait, get this stat, they allowed only 7 runs across the entire 8 games they played.
7 runs, total.
The source calls that suffocating. And frankly, that feels like an understatement. That's just ridiculous run prevention.
It really is. It speaks volumes about their pitching depth, their defense, their ability to just control games.
So who led the charge in that final?
Well, in the championship game, Taylor Rebhan was simply unstoppable at the plate. 2 for 3, a double, a home run, and drove in 5 RBIs.
5 RBIs. Okay, she set the tone.
Immediately, and just kept piling on the pressure. Didn't let up.
Anyone else stand out offensively?
Jasmine Armenteros added some fireworks, too. 2 for 3 day, including a triple. It sounds like they were just locked in.
And pitching-wise, to allow so few runs all weekend.
Sasha Seidel was surgical in the circle for the final. 4 innings, just 3 hits, 1 unearned run, and she sealed the deal with 6 strikeouts.
That combination, powerful hitting and dominant pitching, it's just tough to beat.
Very tough. Now, we got to give Rock 18U a lot of respect, too.
For sure. Making the finals is a big deal.
Absolutely. They battled to a 6-3 record, fought their way through a very loaded, tough bracket to get there, and they had serious talent on their squad.
Like who?
Well, the source highlights Kiana Green. Apparently, she was nearly impossible to get out all tournament. Hit, wait for it, 667 for the weekend.
Whoa, 667. That's elite hitting at this level.
Incredible average. And Dusty Harvey brought the power. She clubbed 3 triples and a homer, kept her team in games, sparked rallies.
So the talent was definitely there for Rock Mineta.
Oh, for sure. But as the source concludes, the the Stingrays GATOR team. They were just operating on a different plane that weekend.
So when you see a team allow only 7 runs over 8 games at this level, what does that tell you fundamentally about their defense, pitching, coaching?
It just screams fundamental soundness, right? It's not just one ace pitcher throwing shutouts. It's likely multiple pitchers throwing strikes, trusting their defense.
Which must be incredibly solid.
Exceptionally solid. It suggests great communication, positioning, very few errors.
And how do you even game plan against that? A team that seems that unstoppable.
Oh, it's tough. It requires you to be basically flawless yourself. You have to take advantage of any tiny opening they give you, which isn't much.
Right.
Maybe try to generate some unpredictable offense, speed, perfectly executed small ball, because they aren't likely to just give you runs. You have to put absolute pressure on them and hope they finally blink.
Yeah. Heat, heart, hustle. That really does seem to capture the essence of this tournament, doesn't it? The 2024 Elite Rock SE Qualifier in Viera.
It really does. It delivered pretty much everything a Fastpitch fan could want, right? Intense competition, dramatic finishes, amazing individual performances.
Even if it came wrapped in that oppressive heat and humidity.
Exactly. And maybe a sunburn or two.
Huh. Yeah. And big props again to those unsung heroes, the umpires.
Yeah.
Somehow staying sharp while baking out there.
Absolutely. And the organizing crew, Tonya Waters and her staff, navigating those weather curveballs, keeping things moving.
Seriously impressive.
This whole event just reinforces that the Southeast is, well, it's a literal and figurative hotbed for elite fast-pitch talent.
No doubt. So, thinking back on everything we've covered, the extreme conditions, the different paths teams took, sheer dominance versus those improbable underdog runs.
Yeah.
What does this tournament really tell us about the level of physical and mental toughness required to compete at this level of fast pitch? And maybe how facing these kinds of intense challenges might impact the long-term development of these young athletes.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. That combination of physical grind and mental pressure, especially under those conditions.
Yeah.
It's definitely something worth mulling over, how it shapes them moving forward.